To say that I am fuming about the actions of this individual is an absolute understatement. The selfish actions of this individual have put our whole state in a very difficult situation.
Tonight, South Australia ends its lockdown early after it was revealed that one lying worker is responsible for the entire state being slammed shut by some of the nation's toughest COVID-19 restrictions. Premier Stephen Marshall said investigations had revealed one of the close contacts linked to a positive case in a worker at an Adelaide pizza bar misled the contact tracing team and was not actually a customer, rather an employee. State left lockdown at midnight and South Australians are being asked to move past their anger, mainly surrounding the fact that this worker would not face any penalties. Special coverage this evening. Also tonight, a disgraceful and profound betrayal. That's our military chief Angus Campbell described a newly released report alleging that Australian Special Forces committed up to 39 murders in Afghanistan. The 4-year inquiry found that there was credible evidence of 23 incidents in which one or more non-combatants or individuals who had been captured or injured or unlawfully killed, and a further 2 incidents that the report said could be classified as the war crime of cruel treatment. Details coming up shortly. And later, China warns Australia and Japan over its confrontational new defence pact arranged earlier this week surrounding arrangements for troops to train on each other's territory. State media says the countries will pay a corresponding price if it threatens China's national security. But one matter still unresolved is whether Australian troops would potentially face the death penalty if convicted of serious crimes while in Japan, with the ABC now reporting at this hour that both nations have agreed to resolve the issue on a case-by-case basis. Good evening. Well, just as Victoria left its 100-day lockdown, South Australia entered one and then left it. One man is responsible for the entire state being slammed shut by some of the nation's toughest COVID-19 restrictions after investigations revealed that he was actually a worker at an Adelaide pizza bar and not a customer, as he told contact tracing authorities. Reporter Lincoln Holmes has more.
Overnight, South Australia broke out their second COVID-19 lockdown.
It feels so much better that I'm not stuck at home doing nothing.
It comes after South Australia's putting tougher lockdown restrictions in Victoria's Stage 4.
I was confident at the time that we made the decision to go into a 6-day lockdown that it was the right course of action based on the health advice. That health advice was based on the information at their disposal, which we now know was not truthful.
Over 20 cases are now linked to the Parafield cluster and all of their close contacts are now in quarantine.
We are still urging South Australians to get tested. But just as we have acted immediately to put restrictions in place to keep South Australians safe, we are going to act to lift them much sooner than previously advised.
It comes as it was revealed a pizza store worker who worked at the Woodville pizza store lied to South Australian health authorities, telling them he was a customer who visited the pizza shop, but he said he actually worked at the shop and was not a customer.
To say that I am fuming about the actions of this individual is an absolute understatement. The selfish actions of this individual have put our whole state in a very difficult situation.
It was revealed on Saturday that 40 close contacts are ignoring calls from SA Health, fearing that COVID-19 could still be spreading out in the SA community.
We are still trying to locate thousands of people who may have had dangerous contact at the Woodville pizza bar.
Lincoln Holmes, 6 News.
Now, despite all this, we have seen panic buying continue across South Australia, both in metro and regional areas, despite countless warnings from authorities. Police Commissioner Grant Stevens has labelled the situation very challenging for retailers, saying it was completely unacceptable and that there is no need for panic buying. Speaking on Sunrise, Drake Supermarkets Director John Paul Drake urged people to calm the farm amid a huge increase in bulk toilet paper purchases.
The only thing we imposed limits early on was toilet paper. We've had a look at what we've got in our distribution centre. It looks like we've got plenty of products. We're not putting any limits on products at this point in time. We've just asked people to buy household limits, and that could mean if you've got a household of 10 people, you might need a couple of bulk pack toilet papers. But I believe after doing some studies, the average toilet paper roll usage per person is 1 in a week. So you don't have to be Einstein to figure out that a 32-pack goes a bloody long way.
And we've also seen plenty of eerie images at a number of popular sites across Adelaide, with the city labelled a ghost town by some. Look at that, completely empty there, but it's expected the city should begin to come back to life in the coming days as more people return to normal life, even with some restrictions still in place. A disgraceful and profound betrayal. That's how Military Chief Angus Campbell described a newly released report alleging that Australian Special Forces soldiers committed up to 39 murders in Afghanistan. The 4-year inquiry found that there was credible evidence of 23 incidents in which one or more non-combatants or individuals who had been captured or injured were unlawfully killed, and a further 2 incidents that the report said could be classified as the war crime of cruel treatment. It also contained multiple allegations of cruel treatment of prisoners of war, as we touched on there, due to a warrior culture labelled deeply disturbing by General Campbell, who admitted the report had done significant damage due to the perception of the Australian military.
Some of them continue to serve in different forms of service within the Defence Force. I've directed the Chief of Army to, on a case-by-case basis, review the circumstance and nature of that service, and he will be doing that immediately. I think there are many people at all sorts of levels across the Defence Force involved in operations in Afghanistan or in support of those operations who do wonder, what didn't they see? What did they walk past? What did they not appreciate they could have done to prevent this? And I think it will carry in the consciousness of perhaps a generation. And I think that that's something that we all need to deal with.
And meanwhile, Afghanistan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs has called the allegations unforgivable, with the country's government saying it felt disgust at the contents, but it did view it as an important step towards justice. The country did acknowledge that Prime Minister Scott Morrison had contacted the Afghan President Ashraf Ghani to apologise and assure them that recommendations from the inquiry would be carried out. The report does recommend a total of 36 incidents be referred to the Australian Federal Police for criminal investigation. A coroner's report has found that poor planning and a number of other issues helped create a perfect storm that assisted James Gargasoulis's murderous rampage through Bourke Street 4 years ago. The rampage left 6 people dead and dozens more injured after Gargasoulis sped through the heart of Melbourne's CBD in a stolen car. He was later sentenced to life in prison with a non-parole period of 46 years. In her findings, Coroner Jackie Hawkins was highly critical of officers who failed to call their chase a pursuit, but acknowledged that the fear of being disciplined did stop some officers from being more assertive on the day and paralysed them from taking action. She's now made 9 recommendations, including a review of Victoria Police's training, policies and procedures on bail. The victims' families say the findings should be used as a catalyst for change. Chinese state media has warned Australia and Japan over its, quote, confrontational new defence pact, which would see arrangements for the countries to train on each other's territories. But there's still one matter that remains unresolved between the two nations after years of talks. Reporter Connor Alpha Cape has more.
Trade tariffs, angry missives, the detaining of Australian journalists. As if our relationship with Beijing wasn't turbulent enough, tensions reached new heights last week. This is the letter that sparked it all. Leaked to the Nine media group by a Chinese diplomat, it outlines 14 grievances Beijing has with Canberra. The dossier criticises Australia's foreign interference laws, our calls for a coronavirus inquiry, foreign relations laws, including engaging in incessant wanton interference in Hong Kong and Taiwan. The federal government has rebutted Beijing's claims.
We will set our own laws and our own rules according to our national interests, not at the behest of any other nation.
Scott Morrison was in Japan last week, the first world leader to meet the new Japanese PM, Yoshihide Suga. The leaders discussed China's worrying strategic expansion in the region. A historic defence pact with Japan was also announced.
This is a significant evolution of this relationship. But there is no reason for that to cause any concern elsewhere in the region.
Chinese state-run media outlets declared the defence pact unfair but also very dangerous, warning that countermeasures are inevitable.
The Australian side made some wrong moves on issues concerning China's core interests and major concerns. It made provocative and confrontational actions. This is the root cause of the current difficult situation.
But discussions stalled when it came to the issue of whether Japan's death penalty would apply to Australian troops who commit serious crimes such as rape and murder. The ABC reporting it'll be assessed on a case-by-case basis. No word, however, on how that'll work.
Will Australian troops be subject to the death penalty in Japan?
Well, what we've been able to achieve is that Australia will meet all of its obligations under its international agreements in relation to that matter.
Also on the agenda, a quarantine-free travel bubble between Australia and Japan. In a clear indication of how important the Japan trip was, Scott Morrison will have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine at the lodge, a 40-room mansion in the nation's capital. Connor Alforque, 6 News.
A right-wing terrorist has been sentenced to 12 years in jail over a failed plot to blow up buildings in Melbourne's CBD. Philip Galea was sentenced to 12 years jail in the Supreme Court of Victoria for planning a terrorist attack and making a document that could facilitate a terrorist attack, but he continues to believe he was a victim of a complex police conspiracy involving his own lawyers after he was arrested in 2016 after concerned associates contacted police about his plans to attack left-wing and Muslim targets. Judge Elizabeth Hollingsworth said Galea regarded Muslims and people on the left of politics as subhumans and wanted the occupants of the places he attacked to come out like burning rats. The forklift operator was a member of a number of right-wing groups talking about desiring the mass extermination of the left and to create a Muslim-free country. The court heard he will be available for parole in 2029. Victoria's Shadow Minister for Autism has been accused of mocking people with a disability after posting an edited image of Premier Dan Andrews. Take a look at this. Liberal MP Bernie Finn shared the doctored image of Andrews on his Facebook page, captioning it, "If 2020 was a person." He's now been slammed over the picture with a petition calling for his resignation, getting thousands of signatures at this hour. He later did issue an apology also on his Facebook page for, quote, causing concern in some quarters, but added that to those who are using people with disabilities and their families as a political weapon, you have my fulsome contempt, saying they should be deeply ashamed. The Victorian Liberal leader Michael O'Brien wrote in an email that Mr Finn is personally committed to the support of all people with autism and that any suggestion he would intentionally mock or degenerate people with autism or any other disabilities is simply not correct. Overseas now, and US President Donald Trump, his allies and his closest supporters are continuing to say they won the US election. The president has also fired the director of one top agency that pushed back on the president's claims of voter fraud. US correspondent Jackson Gosnell has the latest developments.
Leo, the president continues to claim that there was widespread voter fraud represented in this election. Meanwhile, President-elect Joe Biden is pleading for intelligence briefings still a week after he already requested those. The president has only been seen a number of times since the election. He's keeping a low profile, but at a briefing just a couple of days ago, he claimed that he won the election. Some networks call that a false claim, while others are not, because most of the election results have not yet been certified, and we're only dealing with projections at this point. Georgia did have a recount. Now, that state has been Republican for many, many years, but Georgia did certify their results, and they decided that Joe Biden was going to be the winner for that state after a hand recount. They did throw out some ballots, though, that could not be verified. The president's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, is continuing to sue many states, claiming that there was, again, that widespread voter fraud. However, there's been no evidence represented as of this point. Some networks saying that it's just kind of a baseless claim claim and that it's completely ridiculous, while those for the president say that no one ever presents their evidence before going to trial, so it just makes sense that the president's lawyer is not showing any evidence as of this point. Meanwhile, President-elect Joe Biden, who is the projected winner of the election, is hard at work trying to get as many things done before taking office as possible. He is expected to take office, but again, the president's still claiming that he's won and that he will have another 4 years at the White House. The election is something that is going to be watched for sure by a lot of Americans, but we're still pending the official results of this election. Be sure to stay tuned with us for the latest. Back to you.
California Governor Gavin Newsom has issued a daily 10 p.m. curfew for most of the state, including LA, due to a rising number of COVID-19 cases. The virus is continuing to spread across the state, with more than 68,000 new cases in the last week and nearly 350 more deaths. The curfew will affect 41 of the state's 58 counties and more than 94% of the state's population, with the order set to expire on December 21. However, it could be extended if necessary. Nationally, the US Centre for Disease Control and Prevention's forecast now projects America's COVID-19 death toll could reach up to 298,000 by the 12th of December, just weeks after the US surpassed the 250,000 mark.
Any place that a state wants to administer the vaccine, as long as they're enrolled, right, into our process, we can distribute the vaccine. We can distribute the Pfizer vaccine at a minimum of 975 doses and the Moderna vaccine at a minimum of 100 doses. We can go to one place in the state, or we can go to 10,000 places in the state. The capability and the capacity exist because we came together in a whole of America approach.
And authorities say Thanksgiving week will be critical in terms of seeing if there is a potential spike in cases, and are urging people to either limit gatherings or to not have any at all. Well, it's time to look at what's trending now, and Twitter has introduced a new feature called Fleets. The tech giant says you can fleet text, reactions to tweets, photos or videos, and customize them with various backgrounds and text options. Currently, it can only be seen on mobile devices, but there have been plenty of reports of a lag when swiping to another person's fleet, some even saying it's making the app crash, leading to Twitter announcing it's slowing down the rollout to fix the performance issues. But the new feature has been labelled a blatant rip-off by some of Instagram and Snapchat stories. Let's bring a side-by-side image up. Take a look at this. On the left, you've got the new fleets from Twitter, okay? And on the right, you've got Instagram stories, which have been around for a while and obviously are the same as Facebook stories pretty much. But what do you think? They do look pretty similar, don't they? You can share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And we mentioned earlier that US President Donald Trump's legal team is continuing to fight the US election results, but one press conference with his personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, has gone viral for a different reason. Take a look at this. You can see something coming out of the top of his head. It appears to be brown hair dye. He begins to sweat, and then you can see that hair dye. He actually had to wipe down the leaks with a handkerchief as the liquid began to be very visible on camera and on photos, as you can see there. But some outlets have reported that the official Trump campaign livestream on YouTube, which was taking the press conference, actually had audio in the background saying, well, just take a look at this.
That's like flipping a coin 186,000 times and it lands on the
and Rudy's hair dye dripping down his face.
Not happen. There is no reasonable explanation for the upshoots, the straight lines up. I'm not even talking about an angle. I'm talking about some
crashed.
massive
I just saw it pop up on the stream.
The vote tallies.
And we should remind all viewers that we were the one to censor that. That was completely uncensored when airing live on that Trump YouTube channel. The incident has taken the attention off what the press conference was actually about, that being voter fraud, with Giuliani saying in part that there was election interference by foreign communists, arguing the president still had a viable path to a second term in office. Back home now, and it's been a disastrous week for controversial chef Pete Evans. The former My Kitchen Rules star posted a cartoon to his millions of followers on Facebook and Instagram, which showed a butterfly that featured the black sun, an ancient symbol appropriated by the Nazis and more recently used by the Christchurch terrorist in his manifesto. When one user pointed out the symbol, Evans said he was waiting for somebody to see that, but he later claimed he didn't know what the symbol meant and apologised to anyone who misinterpreted the previous post. However, it seemed the damage was already done, and in the space of 24 hours he was dropped by his publisher, the two big supermarkets, a number of bookstores, online retailer House, and probably most significantly by Channel 10's reality TV show I'm a Celebrity. TV Black Box reports that Evans was soon dropped by the show only hours before filming began, and he will likely be replaced later on. He's now posted to his Facebook page that he will be leaving the site and its 1.5 million followers, but the fallout continues. I spoke to the Ben Robbo Show's Ben Norris about the story he broke.
The interesting thing about that fact of him lying is that he had been addressed in the original post, questioning this symbol, and he said, I was hoping someone would ask. So Pete Evans is somebody who does his research, and Pete Evans is someone who goes well above and beyond when it comes to research. He well and truly absorbs this sort of information. I'd like to believe that he simply didn't understand the connections to of the Black Sun, through to neo-Nazis, through to what happened in Christchurch, through to some of the heinous things. I like to believe that. So I'll probably go to bed tonight thinking maybe he was a little in the dark. But I think I'll always know that he knew exactly what he was doing.
Well, from one chef to a bit of a less controversial one, but still very well known, MasterChef fan favourite Callum Hart, who I spoke to earlier about 12 skills that children should know before the age of 12 to support a long and healthy lifestyle, and how the pandemic has changed eating habits amongst children. Take a look.
We've been working with the Sanitarian team to put this book together. It's really exciting, mate. So you can either get the physical book like this, or you can download it online for free, which is really cool as well. So I've got the whole list of skills here. I know you're not going to be able to read it there, but it's everything. I guess the 12 skills we've broken up into kind of 4 key areas of eating, not just cooking. So it's everything from the shopping process and actually right at the start of deciding what you're going to have for dinner, through to then the preparation, then the actual cooking itself. And then once you've actually made the food, the social side of food, sitting down, enjoying a meal as a family, setting the table, all those kind of things. So really try to consider the whole process from start to finish, not just when you've got, a set of tongs in your hands.
There we go, that was MasterChef fan favourite Callum Hahn speaking to me earlier. Well, in recent weeks, US President Donald Trump has slammed American cable news broadcaster Fox News over its coverage of the US election, but a fake screenshot has emerged that claims the network's highest rating host is moving to Newsmax, a smaller network that's been heavily promoted by Trump recently. The fake post from Tucker Carlson on Parler, a social platform that calls themselves an unbiased social media focused on real user experiences and engagement, was also reposted to Facebook. Newsmax was launched as a website in 1998, but then became a 24/7 network in 2014, with rumours Trump may even buy the network when he leaves office, although the network's CEO has said it will never become Trump TV. A couple has gone viral over a proposal that, well, couldn't have gone any worse. Take a look. So in case you missed it, you can see the man who's standing on the edge of his boat. He pulls out the ring, pops the big question. The woman says yes, but then she hit the throttle of her vehicle apparently, which sent it flying forward. It also appears that when she falls, her foot flies up and kicks her husband-to-be in the face. Now then, with him in the water, another woman almost falls over backwards when the jetty she's standing on was hit. You can see she was filming it, but she does manage to regain her balance. The video has reportedly received more than 100,000 views and plenty of comments from amused viewers. Finally tonight, and it's something we don't usually do, but it's a bit of a story about ourselves. A couple of days ago, as many of you may know, Facebook made the decision to block us from publishing on our official page, 6 News Australia, for 30 days after we posted a link to one of our YouTube videos about the right-wing group, the Proud Boys. That video is still up, by the way. They claim we supported and praised the group. We did not. There was no commentary in the video. It was raw vision. There were no calls for violence in the video. There was no violence in the video. We are an unbiased news source. We do not endorse any political candidate, party, or any group at all. So we're asking Facebook to change the decision. It's devastating for a small news outlet like us not to be able to post on one of our biggest platforms for an entire month. And you can see the engagement on some of our videos and other posts is not there without this platform. To make it clear, we are still able to post on Instagram, however, which, as some of you may know, is owned by Facebook. We have had suggestions that the reason they did it was because we are not a verified page. That is true, we have not been verified. But if they'd looked at the video for 1 minute, they would have seen their decision was completely wrong. We have officially appealed it, but we are likely not to get a response. Has the censorship gone too far? You can let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. That is 6 News for this Sunday evening. You can stay up to date with the remainder of our social platforms that haven't been blocked yet. Twitter and Instagram. Search 6 News AE to find us. I'm Leonardo Puglisi. Thanks for your company. Good night.